Now down here, I'm going to show you some very quick plug and plays. And a plug and play again is something like equal NOW, where you just type in a function, maybe something inside the brackets, press enter, and you can play with it, right? So I'm just going to show you a few that are really interesting, and then you decide how you might want to use them, right? First of all, in 2019 quantity, what's the highest? Well, I could look and tell you it's this number. I could highlight these, look on the bottom right corner, and right click and choose maximum. It will tell me max over here, but I actually want to use the number here. So the function for that is equal max, M-A-X, open the bracket, right? So all functions start off with an equal sign, some sort of a word, open a bracket, and you must close that at the end. Now in this case, we do have to say something in the middle. Excel's asking, where do you want me to look for the maximum number? And I have to say in this range here, right? Close the bracket, and it will tell me that's my highest number. Now, this did format the same way as this. If it doesn't, don't worry, just format it the way you need to, right? Now, what is the lowest quantity? And the word for that is MIN for minimum. And again, highlight the range, and that will tell you the minimum. So that's important because that's my spread. Of all quantity shipments for all products, the highest I'm shipping is 1.18 million, lowest is 529. And quite often when it comes to, let's say, units sold or production capacity, we might want to look at the highs and lows to see if my spread or the range is shrinking every year. Maybe it's increasing depending on whatever your strategy is, right? So you're learning all these concepts in your various courses. Now, life isn't always about the highest and lowest. Sometimes we might want the second or the third. So in this case, I'm going to look at total cartons over here, and I want to know what the second highest total carton number is. So let's take a look. I think if that's the highest, this should be the second highest, right? And we do that a lot. Like take a look at the Olympics. We not only have the highest for gold, we have the second highest for silver, and the third highest for bronze. And sometimes you want to look from the bottom. So the lowest person to get fired, the second lowest to get fired, and the third lowest gets disciplined, right? So highest and lowest, second highest, third highest, and so on, we could do it. If you're looking for top down, the word is actually large, bracket, and you highlight the numbers that you're looking at, comma, and you have to tell it one more thing. Because you're looking for the second highest, the second largest number, you actually have to say 2, comma 2, because Excel wouldn't know you're looking for the second highest, right? So you're saying, Excel, in I5 to I9, find me the second largest number. And it will, right there. That's the second one. And same here. If I want to look for the third lowest, the third from the bottom, the word is small, bracket, where are you looking? Here, comma, and you have to tell Excel it's a third one that you're looking for, right? That's a third lowest. Now, overall freight cost as percentage of revenue, here's what we're going to do here. Overall means total. So this is my total freight cost right here. I want to add these up, and I could create a sum over here, but I'm going to do it separately. Add these up and divide that number by a total of these, right? Let's have a look. Let's do sum of total freight cost, right? Sum of total freight cost divided by sum, and don't put another equal sign, right? We already have one. Sum of total freight cost divided by sum of revenue. So instead of doing two sums individually and dividing them, you could do it all in one. And you're going to get a percentage, 1.3% overall. So that's for the whole company, right? Now, it gets a little bit more interesting. Let's go over here. I want to know how many products do we have where we're shipping less than 25,000 kilometers, right? And that could give us some idea as to how far my customers are. So if you got one or two large customers always buying certain products, and like for in this case they're only going 11,000 kilometers, or we're selling not as much, then my fleet is underutilized by those particular product lines, right? Or let's say you have machines that you're operating and you want to do a search for how many machines are outputting less than 5,000 units a day. Very similar idea. So let's do that. The function for that is called count, right? Count and then if. Now we did count earlier. If you want to count anything, just use the word count, right? And we're going to search, so we use the word if. Count if, where? In here, comma, any number that is less than 25,000, close the bracket. Now here's the extra thing you have to do. Whatever it is you're searching for, this thing here, right? You remember if statement we did? Very similar. In this case, you have to put quotations. You have no choice. The quotations have to be there, right? That's just the way it is. So we're going to tell Excel to count any number in here if they are less than 25,000. And we've got 2. So again, because of this exercise, this particular example, we don't have that many numbers. It might not make sense to you. But in fact, there's a lot of other situations where you might want to look for particular things that are less than or more than. So I'll give you another example. If you had a list of employees, and next to it there was a score called number of hours absent or days absent. You can always say, give me a list of all employees. How many employees have more than 5 absent days? And it will tell you a number, right? Now, I want to see over here for revenue, how many product lines have revenue that are more than 100 million. So that would be 1, 2, 3. I want to look at any product groups that are high contributors to overall revenue, right? So same idea. So in this case, I want to find out how many product lines have revenue over $100 million, which would be this plus this plus this. But I don't want to count the number 3. I want to add these up. Okay, so these are my large contributors. I'm going to do something with these 3 products. I just want Excel to tell me what the total revenue is for that, right? Now, we're not going to use a count. In this case, we want to total things up. So you're going to use sum if bracket, highlight what you want to sum up, comma, and of course you have to tell Excel what is it that you're looking for specifically. So quotation mark, anything that is greater than 160, so that's 100 million, unquote, close the bracket. And it's going to add up these 3 numbers, right? Look, I can prove it here right there. My sum is 485 million, 485 million. So again, play around with that, figure out different uses for it. It's quite a powerful set of functions. And there's also a product if you want to multiply, and I believe there's an average if as well, right? Now, let's go to customer score. Sometimes we don't just want to do an average customer score. So in this case, my average is, if you look down here, is 3. Sometimes you want to find out the one score that appears more often. So for example, if you had a population of 1 million, you might want to find out the one age segment that appears more than any other, right? So in this case, we're going to use the function MODE, bracket, highlight these, and if you look at it, it should give me back the number 3. So the most common or most commonly occurring score this year is 3. Now I'm obviously going to do something, train my drivers, maybe try to be more on time, put GPS on my trucks to be more efficient for my deliveries. Uh, and I want that customer score to go up next year to being 4 as the most common, which means more people have reported a 4 than any other. And again, this function makes a lot more sense if you had a lot more data. Right now, we're just trying to learn. Okay. Now, truck trips. These are the number of trips that were made by each truck, and we want to find the median, which is the mathematical halfway point between the highest and the lowest. So you know how to get high, you know how to get low, max and min. Median is simply the exact middle, okay? MEDIAN is the function, and you highlight the numbers that you want the median of. Press enter, and it's 395, right? Exact mathematical middle. Now you keep a close eye on that number because in fact, if next year my median truck trips goes up to 500, it means the high went higher and the low went higher as well. You're sending a lot more trucks out, which is actually good because it means you're busier, or it could mean that you're just running inefficient trips, right? You're not loading your trucks up efficiently. So instead of looking at the highs and the lows, 2 numbers, it's easier just to look at the middle point because it is a function of the high and the low. Just to compare year after year, okay? And the last one is projected total freight cost if we add a 15% surcharge. So what that means is you take your total freight cost over here, and we're going to add 15% to it. That's going to give me an idea of next year's costs if we actually start adding things like maybe debt retirement or maybe start using other carriers and so on. So I'm going to do a sum, highlight total freight cost, and multiply it by 1.15. So it's a surcharge, right? So next year, we're estimating our total freight costs will be $9.113 million. So have a look at these different things and practice the heck out of it because we're going to move to the next exercise. Listen, I should remind you, these are just examples. It's how you use these examples, practice them, and become good at them so that when you're confronted with a particular task on the job, you would know the more effective thing in Excel to use. Okay. Now let's just quickly fix this up, right? You highlight all of this. Remember, make it look good. Do the borders. Highlight just the headings, make the background black and the font white. And that looks a lot better. Okay, there we go. Let's save it and let's move on.